Untitled Tunic Bible workshop, but we're really here tonight to share our sewing stories and the clothes that we've made. You know, sewing classes exist everywhere, but we really love getting together with women and see what they've made. I mean, we think that's really fun, and it's inspirational to us, and so we certainly hope that you might leave inspired with some idea after tonight. So, so we are dedicating tonight's presentation to Kate Spade. I mean, I just love Kate Spade. I mean, my love of her style was one of the reasons why I started the blog and my blog. And you know, I was in my 50s when I started Goodbye Valentino, and well, I couldn't really wear, or didn't have the nerve to wear a red skirt with black and white tights and bright yellow shoes. I mean, I couldn't pull all that look. I loved her colors, and I loved her clean lines, and I just, going to her website just made me so happy. And she was really one of the inspirations for me to sew. But, you know, one of the things that I really liked was that she reimagined classic clothing, and in ways that I certainly couldn't do that. And you know, that just, I think, spoke to millions of people. Julie and I, we kind of think of our styles as reimagined classic clothing. Would you say so?
I would definitely say so. Yeah, and then we asked ourselves, what is a classic? A classic is a garment that has transcended trends, looks good on some version of, looks good on pretty much anyone. Decade after decade, the same pieces. There are great neutral backdrops for jewelry or scarves. They're things you pull from your closet time and time again, and just make you feel confident every time you put one on.
Absolutely. So Julie was talking about classic clothing, and so we're just going to start with the button-down shirt, for instance. We won't go into shirts, but to us that is
The epitome
the
of a classic.
epitome of a classic, yeah. And you know, the classics really, they flatter everybody if they fit. And by changing just a tiny little detail, you can create a trendy garment. You can start a trend. And I think that most fashion designers, they have a very good understanding of classic clothing, and they're just able to manipulate a line or a detail and create a totally different look. And that's really one of the things that we love about sewing. Julie and I met through skirts.
True. I know the story. You know the story?
So I was invited. I used to go to a lot of trunk shows, not these kind of trunk shows, but trunk shows where you really spend a lot of money. And so I went to a trunk show. The name of the company is Severe Skirts. And I took my daughter, Mimi, with me. She had just graduated from college. And we, you know, rang the doorbell, and the sales rep of Severe Skirts answered. And she was wearing a skirt that was made out of the window treatments that were hanging in my den. And Mimi and I looked at each other. We weren't going to say anything, you know. Anyway, we went in, and I mean, the women of Severe Skirts, they're geniuses, because they had 3 styles of skirt. Pencil skirt, A-line skirt, and a little swing skirt. 3 styles. They took your measurements. They had about 500 fabric samples. And you could design your own custom skirt. They took your measurements, and they sent your finished skirt to you in about 2 weeks.
But what did it cost?
So they cost about $200. And
you could have cut down your drapes and made more.
I did cut down my drapes. So yeah, $200, and I had not sewn in a long time. I mean, I've sewed maybe once a year, but I hadn't really sewn clothes in ages. And I was looking at these skirts, and I thought, oh, I used to make stuff like this. Why am I here? I used to make stuff like this. But nonetheless, I bought 3 skirts, and 1 was for me, and 2 were for Mimi. And when they arrived, I was
so ashamed. I mean, it was that buyer's remorse big time, and I said, you know, I'm not going to do this anymore, forget it. And it was really, that's what started my blog. I thought, I am going to go 1 year, I am not going to buy any clothes, I am going to sew, and I'm going to start a blog about it. And that was that. And anyway, so I did do a post on severe skirts because I decided I would make a skirt out of upholstery fabric just like they did. And anyway, that was, you know, the theme of my post. And I also went to a severe skirt party in Charleston and came home with 5 skirts. And these two scenarios are so similar, it's just not to be believed. Said the same thing. I got home and said, I sewed from the time I was in 7th grade home ec until, I don't know, my 20s, and then you make little children's clothes, and then you do some drapes here and there, and there sat the sewing machine. Never touched again, and I said, I'm going to get my sewing machine out, and I'm going to start sewing again. So I'm just Googling away, looking for severe skirt patterns, severe skirt design, just trying to find something to get me started. And I came across Sarah's blog post. So I started following Sarah's blog and commenting here and there. Our styles were similar. We were both in South Carolina, and that's how we met. That just friendship sort of blossomed from there. And
You started following the blog and leaving lovely comments, and then we were both members of Pattern Review, so we could always, you can just tell when you have similar styles.
Yeah.
But we got to know each other that way. Okay, so you know, a lot of people, well, everybody tells me their grandmother used to sew, you know, and that they can't sew anything, and they want to start sewing. And start with an A-line skirt. I just think that is the way to go. A-line skirts, I mean, they can be made virtually, they look good in every fabric.
Yeah, home deck fabric. I love to do A-line skirts from home ec cottons. I think they're just a great, little sturdier, little body to them, hold the shape very nicely.
So the skirt in the middle, that is home deck fabric. You and I were at a store in Kiowa.
That's from Aubergine.
Yeah, Aubergine. We were at an outlet store and bought this home deck fabric, and I wasn't going to make pillows. I was going to have some pillows made. And I was on, because I don't do home deck, I just do pillows. So I was on a plane flying home from New York, and I bought an Oprah magazine. And I was thumbing through the magazine, and Oprah had 10, well, Adam Glassman, I think is her, had 10 rules, you know, for being stylish, and, you know, and anyway, said, always have an A-line skirt in your closet. And he talked about all the benefits of the A-line skirt, that they look good on everybody, they make your waist look small, you know, they give you that girly figure, and anyway, and beside it was this striped skirt for $450. And I did not need another skirt. This was just 2 years ago. I've made so many skirts, but I thought, I'm going to go home and make a skirt. I'm going to show myself I can make a striped A-line skirt just like that with for $450. And anyway, it's turned out to be one of my favorite skirts. And your skirt pattern is...
This is a free pattern online. It's called the Annie A-line skirt. I forgot the gal's name. She's from Australia. So this pattern, I think, is the name of the company. And that's a free A-line skirt pattern that I just adore. And on the left, that's a home deck cotton from Joanne. On the right is remember back in the early 2000s when everything was down to the ankles and just kind of shapeless sacks. It was a beautiful animal print linen, but a style that had been hanging in my closet forever. Just couldn't bear to get rid of it because the fabric was so nice. So I went ahead and made it out of that fabric, and it just turned out to be one of my favorite skirts I wear all the time.
Okay, so pencil skirts. I absolutely love making pencil skirts, and discovered very early on they are not just for pencil thin. People think you have to be really skinny to wear a pencil skirt.
She just said that.
What? What's that?
That you have to be skinny.
No, you don't, because they are designed to really hug the feminine curves. If they're well cut, they're designed to, and they became very popular right after World War II because they required so little fabric to wear. And anyhow, one of the most important things in designing the pencil skirt is to make sure you have a little vent in the back. Wear them snug, not tight, but fitted. And pencil skirts are perfect with heels.
Yes, very feminine.
Can you tell the difference between the Kate Spade and the Kate Spade? This is a blog post I wrote a really long time ago. So after I finished my first ready-to-wear fast, one of the first things I did, being obsessed with Kate Spade, was I went out and I bought a Kate Spade skirt, and then I bought Kenneth King's How to Clone Your Favorite Garment class.
Yes.
And so I decided I was going to clone this skirt. So this is the Kate Spade skirt. Okay, what did I learn when I cloned? Pardon me?
There's a lot of YouTubes out there on how to clone your favorite clothes, your favorite
Yeah.
garment.
Yeah. But what did I learn when I cloned this? I learned, first of all, that a pencil skirt, there's a difference between a pencil skirt and a straight skirt. So the pencil skirt has this nice bell shape to it. It's so subtle you don't even notice it. And, you know, up until this point, the patterns that I bought, because I was really new to I wasn't new to sewing, but to sewing for myself, the whole pattern world, all of that, I was relearning everything. And all of the patterns that were labeled pencil skirts, they were really straight skirts. And I would make them, and I just felt so matronly in them. I thought, this isn't what I had in mind. So I learned, first of all, that, it had this nice bell shape. Okay, also, one of the things I loved about this skirt, it has a three-piece waistband. It's not just a single piece. So it's shaped, and it really, fits you very nicely. It doesn't have gaps anywhere. The lining was attached at the top, flipped over as a single piece, and then it was stitched in the ditch to really accentuate the lining. And to me, after I figured that out, I could not stop making pencil skirts. And I probably bought about 6 of them with me.
Yeah, you're free to please come
Yeah.
out, pick them up, look at insides.
Now that curve, the bell-shaped curve, is that created with darts?
No, this skirt does not have any, that was the other thing. There are no front darts in this skirt because the front is slightly larger than the back, so
The seam's wrapped.
That's right, it's wrapped. And Susan Cauchy has a skirt pattern.
That's the same with the Annie skirt pattern, also features that. The side seams wrap slightly around the hip, which just gives you a nice smooth line looking directly straight ahead.
So here's another one that I made from the Katie Spade pattern. And then this is one that I made. This was a silk that I bought, and I dyed a piece of silk with red dye, sunshine yellow or something, and I just cut them into strips and sewed them together. I was inspired by a Kate Spade skirt that I'd seen that was in really bright, beautiful colors. So,
And for the waistband thing, one that we've found, and if any of you have taken Susan Calgi's classes, this is a technique that she just loves, is the Petersham waistband stay, which benefits of that, keeps it snug. Do you all know the difference between Petersham and grosgrain ribbon? It's the scalloped edge that can be steamed into shape rather than a sealed edge on grosgrain ribbon, which is not flexible. The waist stay from Petersham can be steamed into any shape. It hugs your waist. It keeps your skirts from spinning. A lot of times waistbands, you're all of a sudden your slits over here after half the day is over. Do we have any with that?
yeah, 2. One is just
The
a
ribbon
cotton
skirt.
A-line, and then there's
Oh,
this.
yeah, the
So we
ribbon
have
skirt.
2. Yeah.
Right. So you can see it's really very simple. We can pass this around as well. And you just right sides together and flip it in and tack it down. You can do it over lining. You can do it inside a lining. It really does help it hug your waist and stay. Also very thin, so if you've got a heavy blue clay or a wool fabric that you're working with, it cuts down on the bulk.
Where do you buy the Peter Sham?
It's one word.
I buy it online in a place called The Sewing Place, which has it in every color and width imaginable. But Etsy, look at Etsy, look online, I'm sure you can find it. I just bought a 50-yard roll of black, 1 inch, 1.5 inches wide, just because I like to have it in my.
Is it generally rayon?
Rayon or rayon and cotton blend typically. Right. You don't want to look professional. You don't want to look polished.
Yeah, well, that's what they'd have as Grover.
Shiny.
Good.
Yeah.
So Peter Sham is not a name of a guy.
No. Peter Sham. Sorry?
Material, that's what it's called.
Peter Sham ribbon. You should have brought a roll. I didn't think to.
As opposed to grow grain.
I get Threads magazine, that's how I learned about Peter Sham.
Yeah. It's a darling in the couture world. It can be used for so many wonderful purposes. And it's a great trim too, an exterior trim. I think I've used it on a couple of the tunics actually.
Yeah, so when we do waistbands, we like to follow the Kate Spade method, and when we eliminate the waistbands, Peter
Peter
Sham,
Sham's
for
our
us, is the way
favorite.
to go. Well, after I make you shirt,
You did a jacket.
I did do a jacket, I brought the jacket too,
Check it.
So after we made our fill of A-line skirts and pencil skirts, you know, it's so fun to experiment with different silhouettes with skirts because they don't require a lot of fabric. You fit yourself, you know, in the waist and maybe through the hips if you need to, and then the rest, you can do what you want to.
I never wore full pleated skirts before. I just felt that they were overwhelming. It was too much fabric. They felt too girlish. And I did this one just a few months ago, and it's one of my favorite work skirts. I can move easily. It's got pockets. Who doesn't want them? Right?
Yeah.
Gotta have pockets. Now I want to make more.
What pattern is that?
This is another indie pattern. I'll look it up when we're through. $3 for this pattern online. Yeah, it's a couple of gals that met on Pattern Review website and started drafting some patterns, and they've got a few cute ones. I can't think of their name offhand.
PDF though, or?
Yes, they're PDF, but they're not paper.
I have not used those. Are they easy enough to print out?
I find them
Immediate
very, there, thank you.
Kind of
Yeah,
very-
super simple.
Middle of the night, you get inspired.
Yes.
You're ready to go.
That's right.
This is a skirt that is
Oh, that's terrible.
three panels, 1, 2, 3. I think it's a Verga, and the pattern envelope shows it in contrasting colors. And Sissy Wellens, does anybody follow Sissy on Pattern Review? She made one in red and white. She said, I feel like a cheerleader. But I loved it in the single fabric because it's not really full, but it's got lots of movement by the time you get to the lower edge. And
There's something that just makes you feel very feminine when you're wearing a pleated or a full skirt. I just think it's a lovely change.
You said you got the pleated pattern from where?
I'm going to look that up. I don't
Okay.
recall the name of the gals that did this one. I'll find that.
Thanks, Dad. I like your fabric on
This is from Promenade Fabrics in New Orleans. Yeah, I was there in January.
Yeah, is that a cotton?
It's a cotton sateen with stretch. So
Oh,
it's-
Now, is that on the blog, that skirt?
It's on my Instagram. Yeah, not on Sarah's blog. This is one of my pieces.
And what's your Instagram?
I know, that's a hard question.
Yeah, I'll pass it around at the end. We'll write it down. We have a nice handout of fabric stores that, I'm sorry, who brought that? Jane brought that for a copy for all of you, so we'll add it on the bottom there.
So, has anybody ever, do you remember these skirts from
Yes.
Jay McLaughlin?
Yeah.
My favorite was yours.
Thank you.
Well, thank you. All right, so this is Julie's, and this one is mine, and these are not made with Peter Sham ribbon. They're made with grosgrain ribbon. But again, we ordered the ribbon from the sewing place.
I did not, mine is from Hobby Lobby.
Mine is from the sewing place, but, you know, I think it was like $13 worth of ribbon, and you just start with a shell of your favorite skirt pattern, and we can do workshops on these, but, you know, you never know what people think when they read or see pictures, and about 6 months after we made these skirts, and actually Julie wrote a tutorial that was on my blog, and a lot of people sent in their pencil skirts, but a woman made, it was her second wedding, but she made her wedding dress
Oh, really?
out of layering
We've gotta keep a
white
picture of that.
white ribbon, and it was beautiful. I mean, it was a short dress, but it was absolutely stunning what she did. Her name is Kathy Rogers, but I don't remember her Instagram. It's that she doesn't go by that name. But yeah, I mean, ready to wear inspiration is just everywhere. Can you tell the difference between the Carolina Herrera and the star of the Carolina?
One of my favorite designers is Carolina Herrera. I just adore her. Again, classic styling. I love her shirt. She says a shirt and a skirt can carry you from daytime wear to formal wear, and I didn't believe her until I made one of my own outfits, and I wore it to the Tony Bennett concert for my birthday, and I just adored. I took her photograph and drafted a skirt, just did some little ruching on the waist, and adore it. I love the style of the shirt and skirt. I think it's just classic. The black and white color combination is wonderful, and
What is the fabric of the blouse?
the blouse is just a cotton with some sort of little satin embellishment on it. It's cotton, yeah, it's cotton. Yeah.
I like the way you did the flat buttons and bottoms.
Right, so they weren't poking out.
That's really
Yeah.
clever.
Yeah.
When you drafted the skirt, did you just come up with this shape and then kind of piece it that
I
way?
use muslin, and I just sort of draped it on my dress form after I box pleated another piece of muslin. It's just a lot of measuring, draping and measuring.
And button.
Yeah, and button, a lot of button.
Now the blouse, the pattern,
This is a common butter pattern, I believe.
wow.
I can get that for you at the end if you like. It's on my Instagram.
But you darted it, didn't you?
I did dart it, thank you, Sarah. I did do vertical darts in the front so that it tucked into the shirt nicely without a lot of excess. Yeah, I like it, I wanted it nice and fitted through the midriff. That skirt is actually floor-length, the Carolina Herrera one is floor-length.
We love dresses. I could just make one dress after another, and, you know, what would Kate Spade wear to an ice cream social? I think she would wear a silk dress. And this is a dress that I made to wear to an ice cream social with the ice cream gurus, Ben and Jerry. And it is modeled after the Kate Spade Aubrey dress, and I've got a picture of that. Well, I like that too, and what I'm wearing tonight is actually one too, and I made this, I think, in my second year of back to sewing, and I could not find a pattern anywhere, and someone introduced me to vintage patterns, and I found a simplicity pattern from the 60s, and that I made absolutely no alterations to. I mean, fitting, of course, but no style alterations. And there it is, and here I am. Now, you know, this has been my motto since 2011. And people love to take issue with me and say, you really can't save money sewing your own clothes. So, you know, it just depends on what your standards are. I mean, if I cannot make I cannot make a shirt cheaper than something on the sale rack at Marshall's. I cannot do it. And I don't really, I don't really want to do that. I mean, I don't mind buying shirts from the sale rack at Marshall's, but honestly, what these clothes that we've made, there are many ready-to-wear, comparable ready-to-wear garments that are 3 and 4 times as much as what we put into our garments. So, I mean, if you shop at Talbot, start sewing, and then start going to France to make couture garments, no, you're not going to save money. But I think for the most part, you are, and that's really why I started sewing. It's not why I continue to sew, though. I mean, true, I do save money, but it's a great creative.
Well, they fit then.
Okay.
So, shifts and sheaths. What is the difference between a shift and a sheath? Well, they're all straight dresses. Really, the only difference is a sheath has more darts. It's more fitted. A shift is straighter through the waist. It's more loose fitting. A sheath can also have a seam at the waist and where the darts meet in the front and back. And that's the primary difference between the two. Does anyone else have a better description of the difference between a sheath and a shift?
So, of course, Lily Pulitzer made millions with her shifts. She out of colorful fabrics, so they wouldn't show stains, fruit juice stains.
Do y'all know that story? Pulitzer got started.
Story.
Her family had an orange juice stand in Palm Beach, Florida, and she was tired of coming home with orange juice stains on her clothes every day after work. So she just bought some wild, colorful print fabrics and started sewing herself some shifts, and the rest is history.
So here are 2 shifts. Of course, give you a completely different look. One is the sequin dress.
Here we go.
And, a shift, I mean, it's supposed to be a straight dress. It's cut, fits at the shoulders and is straight. Now, we all know that there's a little more to it than just cutting a piece of fabric. And so it does need to fit. There's just the tiniest bit of shaping. This is, I think, a new look pattern. I really like new look patterns. They seem they're just compatible with me. And this fabric is from Mood Fabrics. When I sewed, I made a muslin, because it was expensive fabric. I just did everything I was supposed to do. And I eliminated the bust darts because I couldn't put bust darts in these sequins. And so I was so careful about it, had it look just perfect. Sewed this sequin together, put it on, and it was huge because there was so much stretch in this fabric. So I tweaked it. I did get it to fit, and then it's lined with stretch silk charmeuse inside. But I love the simplicity of the dress and the dressiness of the fabric. So I wear that throughout the holidays. It is just a easy dress that way. And I wore it to an Oscar party.
Probably look like a statuette.
Okay, so you're wearing a shift.
Yeah, it also, but more of a trapeze shape. This is a tessuti pattern.
Okay, so sheaths. As Julie was saying, the sheaths are, the difference is that they're just fitted, and often they're 2-piece dresses with a darted upper bodice and a darted lower bodice, and they're joined at the waist so that you look like you have one long dart. And that really creates that nice shape. And there's some shifts that have been darted to create the illusion or the fit of sheath. That's my latest.
Like last week or whatever.
Yeah,
it was.
Yeah, she just did this one. Isn't this beautiful? I just love this brocade.
The most famous sheath of all.
Hubert Givenchy.
Givenchy.
Yeah. So the little black dress, very important in every closet of classic garments. And these were 2 little black dresses that I made 5 years apart, which, as you can see, they're timeless. The style just goes on and on and on. And one of the most important things, and I believe Givenchy said this about sewing a black dress, is it's just so critical to get simple perfect. It's very difficult to get simple perfect. And one of the ways I think That's nice to add interest to a simple black dresses with texture, change up the texture of the fabric. And this was 5/8 seams in Charleston had this. It's very sheer, it's a sheer net, which you really can't see because I lined it with a black knit, which I thought was just a wonderful fabric for a simple little black dress, yeah.
I
Yeah.
love this. What's
I
that
love
kind?
these. What pattern?
This was a new look, I believe.
Oh, that is
New look pattern, I think. Right, and for Joanne, just a little buckle that I added on the belt there. Okay.
One last little black dress.
Yeah, I love
It's
that.
a
Did you
shift.
bring that? Yeah, that's a shift, yeah.
Shift. It does have French darts. Again, it's another new look pattern. Okay. Shirt dress.
Shirt dresses, my new found love. I've never owned or sewn a shirt dress until this year. Another garment flattering on every one of us. They have similar elements in that there's usually a button front, a lot of times there's a placket. They can be sleeveless, long sleeve, short sleeve, wrap style. Isn't that one wrap?
No, it's
Sarah?
not
No, it's not a wrap. There's actually a shirt dress are y'all familiar with Pattern Review website?
I've been to it.
There's a shirt dress contest going on that ends tonight. And so, okay, here's the two that I made. And this is the one I decided to enter in the contest.
So go to the Pattern Review website
Yes,
tonight.
yes. You can
Vote
vote.
for this.
I think starting tomorrow. Voting.
Julie has entered about 6 contests in Pattern Review, 7. And she's won every one of them.
Not everyone that I've entered, but at least one contest.
One contest
per
a
year.
Yeah, she's won
Yeah.
contests for the last
I
6
just
consecutive
think it's
years.
a fun way to stretch gives me, I don't know, just a thrill to do my little competitive edge there. But anyway, I couldn't decide which of the two to enter, and then I decided this was just a little bit more interesting because I took all of the facings and the neckband and so forth and added contrast everywhere that I could, including the yoke lining. And this pattern I love because it has an inset waistband, which really gives nice shaping. And that is also, although I did not consider the fact that darker fabric was going to show through a little bit. So it is a little bit show through, but it's the blue getting them on the inside.
This is a silk that a woman gave to me, and and so I had seen some Alice and Olivia shirt dresses, and I'm sorry to always talk money, but they were like $300, but I liked them so much, and I wasn't on a ready-to-wear fast at that time, and I thought, oh, I really might have to break down and get one. And so I walked into a store, and there was the one I've been looking at online, and it was so cheap, and it was so flimsy, and it fit so terribly, and I thought, I'm going to have to make a shirt dress. I'd never made one before, but this one, does not button down all the way. It has a placket, and I did make a little belt to go with it, and a shape.
I love the buttons on that. I think they really add.
And I did add some back darts just to give me that nice flat back. And then this one is made of Oscar de la Renta. Yeah, this is a great early. I like to wear this in the early spring. It's heavy. It's made of canvas, a stretch canvas though.
That's a heft to it.
Yeah, it does. I like wearing it with boots.
Has anyone ever sewn with faux suede before? I had never done it. This is a little heavier than I expected when I ordered it. It doesn't have any give whatsoever, but I thought, wouldn't that be fun to make a shirt dress out of faux suede? And once I got done, I had purchased snaps. I thought it'd be fun with snaps. It just seemed too Western looking once I got ready to put those snaps on. So I thought, I think those snaps are going to get set aside. And I did these little gold filigree buttons instead, just to give it a little polish, not look a little too Annie Oakley.
So just like the A-line skirts and pencil skirts, after you've learned to fit yourself with shifts and sheets and wrap dresses, we say experiment. And I'm 5'2", and I really like the Empire waist. It just creates a much longer, waistline silhouette appearance for me. Julie is very long-waisted. She can wear the drop-waisted dresses, and who doesn't love a fit and flare party dress? Julie and I were talking today you know, I mean, knit dresses are so, they're easy to make, they're usually very simple cuts. But you know, the secret is, don't be afraid to make them fitted. Don't be afraid of that negative ease. They're designed, you know, to be snug. And while a knit dress looks, I mean, they don't always look good on the hanger. And a prime example is this green dress that I made. I mean, it just looks so plain and matronly on the hanger, but when I put it on, it just fits in all the right, all the right places. Now, you might see a little something at the bottom. Don't forget your Elaflex thread. Has everybody had the opportunity to sew with, not a clue? Well, Elaflex thread is a stretch thread, and it's produced by Coates and Clark. And
Oh, I saw it the other day. I've never used it. I just saw it.
it's wonderful because, you know, when you sew with a knit, you have to do a narrow zigzag to provide stretch in the seam, or else your seam is your thread's gonna snap. And so this stretches as you sew, and you can stretch your fabric. I mean, the thread stretches another 50%.
Then you still do the zigzag?
Yeah,
Is
he's
that
still
a
doing the
sewing
zigzag
machine or
with
just
them?
No.
Straight
You can-
stitch, straight stitch.
So you can top stitch. You know, you can top stitch with it, and you don't have to put the zigzag
Oh,
in.
okay.
Moving on to tops. Kate Spade designed tunics. We don't think she did, but we designed our tunics with the Kate Spade spirit in mind, I must say. Okay. So we had this, what we thought was a brilliant idea, you know, we want to try and cook. And Julie and I got together. I have a beach house at Edisto Beach, and Julie came, and it was 9 degrees outside for the entire time. We never left the house. And I asked Julie if she would be interested in writing a book proposal with me, and she was. And so we spent a weekend making the perfect muslin for the tunic, experimenting with collars and plackets, and we've been very pleased.
Yes, they've been wonderful.
So the premise, you know, is one pattern with multiple necklines, and these are just a few pictures from our book. We do so much talking about the Tunic Bible. We're happy to answer any questions, but we don't want to spend our entire time talking about tunics, which we could do.
Such a good
I'll
writer
set
as
my
well.
book down here.
So one of the main things we learned from the Tunic Bible was that how important embellishment was. We, you know, Julie and I were experimenting. We did several tunics that didn't really require embellishment. Like we probably didn't bring. Oh,
We couldn't figure out why ours just didn't have that sparkle that the Tory Burch and all of the sort of boho looking ones did. And the ruffle is with a cuff sleeve was one of our fun additions, and it's this is a little shorter than.
Now that's the option in your.
This is, yes, this, and what's fun about this is it's a face, it's got a nice flat facing on the back of it, so it keeps that poofy ruffle going, and it just isn't a gathered cuff, more or less, yeah.
So we really did realize the importance of embellishment. And so many of our later tunics after the book, probably all of them, are a little bit more decoratively embellished. Here's one of Julie's latest. Talk about your Charles.
This one here.
Oh.
I found this fabric in Houston when I was just there in January for a workshop, and the second I laid eyes on it, it reminded me of the wrought iron gates in Charleston.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I had to buy it, and I knew I was going to do a tunic from it.
So one of the things that we noticed that our tunics really didn't have, they weren't embroidered. And when we went to Morocco, we kept seeing one gorgeous embroidered tunic after another. And I bought a couple of them, and we came back and said, we're going to figure this out. We're going to learn how to embroider flag. So I received in October Thought Creative Icon, and it is a marvelous sewing machine. I
Yeah.
have never, oh my
Yeah.
gosh, I have never seen anything like it before. I love it for so many reasons, but as far as embroidery is concerned, it has the largest embroidery hoop for a home sewing machine on the market. And so instead of having to break this down, I could embroider this entire neckline in my hoop. And to me, that is a real game changer when you don't have to embroider half of it and then take it out and do this. So, two Kate Spade shirts. And they're both really cute. But if I look at the one on the right, I can look at that and I can tell that's not going to fit me. I don't care what size I buy it in. And I look at the one on the left and I think that would make me look fat. So I would never buy these. And until I started sewing again, I didn't think I could wear button-down shirts. I thought button-down shirts look terrible on me. I can't wear those. But, you know, once you start sewing, got a whole different story.
All about proportion and scale.
Okay, Julie, talk about this top.
Oh,
I'll hang these back.
Oh, okay.
Love that.
Who loves Anne Fontaine? You with Anne Fontaine? I saw this top in the Anne Fontaine window at Charleston Place, and I swear I stalked the store every day. I was out there taking pictures, trying to figure out how I could make this top. There's an Anne Fontaine version. And I actually, so my thought was, how would I recreate that? You know, every piece of clothing I find in a store, if I really think about it and I look at the line drawings on a pattern, you know, pick out the elements. I needed a Peter Pan type collar, not Peter Pan, but a short, pointed collar, close fitting shell, a back opening, and the lace was the wild card. How would I find that lace? And believe it or not, I found something very similar on Etsy, which was just, when I landed on it after scrolling for an hour, I literally gasped and nearly fell over. So then it became a matter of just inserting the lace into, you know, cutting away and trimming off the portions of the fabric that I didn't need, and voila, I had my hand on.
So you can personalize any garment, clothing with embroidery. And so not just necklines and collars, but I absolutely love embroidering the sleeves. Here's just a snapshot of what I did. This is one of the Foth designs that I just was already loaded into the machine, and due to the precise positioning, you can mirror the images on the front and back. This is a Kate Spade coat, and you know, the one takeaway that I think maybe both of us have with Kate Spade is to have fun with your clothes. And I really struggled having fun making jackets. I mean, I'd made a French jacket, I'd made a few jackets, but I don't know if I overthought them. I just couldn't get creative with them. And in January or February, I discovered this woman. Her name's Danielle Rollins, and she is a wealthy divorcee, and with her settlement, she started a clothing line. And so these are skirts. They're made out of Liberty of London cotton, and she charges $700 for them. So, you know, Danielle Rollins. And yeah, she lives in Atlanta, and now she's expanded to her line is expanding very quickly. But as I was looking at disbelief with her line, I discovered these cute jackets, and suddenly it just gave me permission to start having fun. And so the first thing I made, this was a cotton sateen jacket on the right and a linen on the left. And again, you know, her jackets are very expensive, $700 or $800. So the first thing I made was a cotton sateen jacket with ruffled sleeves, and I lined it in orange to just give it some pop. I ended up making 3 jackets this spring because I was just having so much fun with it. With the little A-line skirt that I passed around, I used the same fabric and created this jacket. So,
Wow.
so then, you know, I thought you can have fun making jackets, but, here's some. But now, let's turn this over to the jacket queen.
Well, as I mentioned before briefly, hand sewing is something I really fell hard for once I got into sewing again, just because it is so precise. It makes me feel so much more in control of my sewing. And I find it so contemplative. It's just a very zen sort of repetitive motion of perfecting one stitch after another. I just sort of fall into a rhythm and really enjoy it. So I took one of Susan Kalji's classes and did a French jacket, which sort of sparked this intense, crazy obsession with French jacket making almost. And I've joined up with a friend from Houston who I met also through the Pattern Review website. And every January now, we've started a tradition of sewing French jackets together. We do it online, or just sort of sew along together, just constantly emailing and texting each other pictures and so forth. So we, every year in January, we choose new fabrics and new linings and new trims, which I think the planning is one of my favorite parts of the whole process. Is what am I going to use this year? What fabric? What lining? And the thing about them, people say, well, that doesn't fit into my lifestyle. French jackets, they're fancy, you know, ladies who lunch sort of wear. And guess what? I wear them on construction sites with jeans. I wear my French jackets to death.
Not sewing classic garments. We like to have fun.
Accessories.
Just
And
accessories, pajamas, bags, hats.
should I tell the
wraps.
story quick of this bag from my backpack?
Please do, yeah.
Anyone familiar with Fortuny fabrics? Fortuny? So as I mentioned, I am in construction, and we recently did a renovation project down on the waterfront in Charleston, a penthouse over an art gallery that was very beautiful. And I walked in, and we were gutting the entire existing inside. And this whole entire library was upholstered with Fortuny walls, batted and beautiful handmade piping. And I said to the homeowner, what's going to happen with all this? She said, oh, it's going to get torn out. We're going to tear that out. And I said, may I have it? And she said, sure. So I was on a ladder with a razor blade about 5 minutes flat, and I have about 30 yards of this fabric. So I don't know what to do with it. Sarah suggested a nice duvet and redo my bedroom. However, I thought the first thing to just do something quick for instant gratification was to do a backpack, which I had never sewn a bag before. Have any of you bag sewers? They're fun. I really caught the bag bug after I did this. Just adding the hardware and watching each step progress, it's really nice to see something just, you know, buckles and things on it. So this was a cute pattern. Sorry, I can't remember the name of it. But I just had some scraps of leather at home, and I actually took the selvage imprint, the Fortuny, and sewed it on for a little label as well. So that's my Fortuny story.
So, we have so enjoyed sharing our clothes with you.
Thank you.